Welcome into Off the Hook Sports, everybody. I am your host, Calhoun. Apologies for the late start. It's not a restream issue this time. I had a MacBook issue. I'm going to defame them as we speak right now. They purposely, I believe, make things really screwy, even on new computers, so they can try to force you to eventually buy new computers. They purposely try to make things not last well. I'm just throwing MacBook under the bus because I'm really mad at my computer right now. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications. We got a lot to get to today, and I mean a lot. And that is including the retirement of former Tennessee basketball head coach Bruce Pearl. A big story. Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating an LSU player the week before Ole Miss and LSU are set to face off. That is crazy. Okay, she reveals it the week of. That's insane. Why has Tennessee's line against Mississippi State so dramatically moved towards Mississippi State? That'll be today's tough question. We're going to break that down. The Vols might be facing a former quarterback when Tennessee plays Florida later this year. That's going to be bank on it. And we got our SEC quarterback power rankings and our football IQ, where we look back on the dumbest coaches over the weekend. So a lot to get to. Hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Turn on your notifications. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com. We broadcast to you live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. And again, I want to address the Dave Hooker situation. Bear with us, guys. Bear with us. I'm trying my best to keep this thing going, but the issue that we thought was supposed to only last yesterday is going to last a couple more days. So I will be riding solo today and tomorrow at the very least. We'll see how things go after that, but we are trying to resolve a certain matter. I would love to be more open with you guys about things that have gone on. I can't. It's not my place. But just bear with us. We will try to get all of this solved. So anyways, hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Turn on your notifications. Tell a friend. Let's get rolling with the headline of the day. And this is the Vol Report, brought to you by Hometown Realty LLC. Bruce Pearl announces his retirement from college basketball. Pearl coached for 11 years at Auburn. In that time, he won 3 regular season SEC titles, 2 SEC tournament titles, reached the NCAA tournament 7 of the 11 years, reached the Final Four twice during that time period. 6 of the 11, 6 of the 10, because 2020 there wasn't a tournament, but would have made the NCAA tournament that year. Before that, he coached at Tennessee for 6 years, where he reached the NCAA tournament all 6 years, the Sweet 16 3 times, the Elite 8 once, won a regular season SEC title in 2008. In between those two terms, he had a 3-year show cause due to a recruiting violation with Tennessee that got him fired. Before Tennessee, he spent 4 years at Wisconsin-Milwaukee, where he made the NCAA tournament twice, won the Horizon League regular season title twice, the Horizon League tournament title twice, made the Sweet 16 one time. And before that, he had spent a good 9 years at Southern Indiana with the Southern Indiana Screaming Eagles at the Great Lakes Valley Conference, where he won the Division II National Championship in 1995, made the NCAA Division II tournament every single year when he was there, including 5 Great Lakes Valley Conference regular season titles, and again, the Great Lakes Valley Conference national title in 1995. So he had been successful everywhere he's been. He hangs it up with a 706 and 268 record as a head coach, a 725 win percentage, has had a decorated career, did not have a national championship on his resume at the Division I level, largely because of a couple of reasons. He didn't have that many years at the Division I level at a school where he could have won a national title, because if we're being honest, he had a 3-year show cause in the prime of his career that held him back. And it took him a long time to be able to coach at that level because of the Dean Thomas incident in 1989 in Iowa, where he was an assistant and got school put on probation because of a player accepting money to go to another school, Illinois specifically. He got blackballed from Division I, but still had a lot of success everywhere he's gone. Stephen Pearl is now going to take over as head coach of the Auburn Tigers. The Vol Report. Bruce Pearl's retirement is today's Vol Report. That is brought to you by Hometown Realty LLC. Go to ryancoleman.org, Knoxville's best from 2017 to 2022. Download the app, get instant updates, personalized searches, and more. ryancoleman.org. That's ryancoleman.org. Hometown Realty LLC. That is the Vol Report, Bruce Pearl's retirement. Let's break down the Bruce Pearl tenure at Tennessee and how, and just in general, because while Bruce Pearl had more time at Auburn and did some things at Auburn that he hasn't done at Tennessee, the story of Bruce Pearl is the story of Tennessee hiring him, because Bruce Pearl, when Tennessee hired him in 2005, that was the start of what became a dramatic change in SEC basketball. Bruce Pearl's legacy is one of complication because of cheating. It's one of... Well, I'm going to set the poll question up. What is Bruce Pearl's legacy? Is it turning around Auburn and Tennessee NCAA issues? What is Bruce Pearl's biggest legacy? His political stances, or, because he's taken a few, revitalizing SEC basketball. And I'm going to vote it's revitalizing SEC basketball, because I'm going to tell this story. When Bruce Pearl was hired at Tennessee in 2005, the SEC was Kentucky and Billy Donovan. It went that far. Now, Billy Donovan was a great coach at Florida, so Florida was rolling. Arkansas had had success with Nolan Richardson, but had fallen off, and it was just Kentucky. Most of the programs did not care about basketball. Bruce Pearl took over and immediately revitalized Tennessee basketball. I mean, overnight. And it was the first time Tennessee had actually invested in a head coach, and he generated so much interest in the program overnight that Tennessee basketball became super profitable. Other SEC schools saw that and modeled it. Now, there was a lot of messiness in between. Many SEC programs tried to recreate the Bruce Pearl hire multiple times over, and it didn't work. But eventually, they were all settling in on coaches. What happened? SEC basketball doesn't have the demands that SEC football does, where everybody was trying to hire the next Nick Saban. They were willing to settle for a coach that may not win them a bunch of national titles, but could get them into the NCAA tournament regularly and draw fans and interest. Now the entire SEC almost is made up of coaches like that. And it was because of the interest Bruce Pearl revitalized in Tennessee. So my argument for Bruce Pearl of his biggest legacy is he has turned SEC basketball into the premier conference in college basketball, surpassing the ACC. That sounds crazy. But if you really look at Bruce Pearl's legacy beyond anything else, it's the fact that before he got to Tennessee, the SEC was a forgotten conference in basketball. And during his time at Tennessee, for the most part, it was still a forgotten conference in basketball. Now, his first 2 years at Tennessee, Florida won the national title under Billy Donovan. That did help change things. But it was Billy Donovan winning the national title and Bruce Pearl being at Tennessee at the same time generated some interest in the SEC. And other schools realized they could invest. By the mid-2010s, you saw schools across the SEC investing and trying to get the best coaches possible. And settling, though, at the same time for good coaches and accepting that they may not have a Nick Saban dynasty. Now, the SEC is the best conference in college basketball, bar none. Bar none. And I think that all comes back to Bruce Pearl. So that is my vote on it, is that he revitalized SEC basketball. However, Bruce Pearl does have NCAA issues on his hands. We're talking about a guy who ratted out a player to the NCAA when he was an assistant at Iowa, ratted out that player and got Illinois put on probation in the 80s, and then himself committed recruiting violations twice, okay? One at Tennessee that got him fired for 3 years, or got him on a show cause for 3 years. And then another one at Auburn that we forget got them on a postseason ban. So Bruce Pearl has had multiple run-ins with the NCAA, one where he ratted out a player to the NCAA, and 2 others where he got in trouble with the NCAA. So his legacy is complicated. There is also the fact that Bruce Pearl has gotten more overtly political as time has gone on. I think personally, Bruce Pearl's trying to run for Senate in Alabama. And then, so his political stances are legitimate, but also, yeah, just turning on Auburn and Tennessee, making them basketball programs that people love. Since Bruce Pearl has been in Tennessee, there is no debate that Tennessee's basketball program has been more successful than its football program. Zero debate. I mean, nobody can even come close to saying otherwise. Tennessee basketball has been significantly more successful than Tennessee football since Bruce Pearl took over at Tennessee in 2005. Auburn basketball has been significantly more successful than Auburn football since he took over there in 2014. The year before he took over, Gus Malzahn had taken them to the national title, and they hadn't been back since. So that is a legacy of Bruce Pearl. Now, in terms of Bruce Pearl's future, look, we're going to talk. I think he is honestly going into politics. There's also this issue. Bruce Pearl hiring his son, Stephen Pearl, or Bruce Pearl retiring from Auburn at this moment, was to make sure his son, Stephen Pearl, got the job. Now, there is a notable point that there's a notable tweet from Bruce Pearl that is being rehashed. And it is Bruce Pearl defending a comment from Stephen A. Smith last year. What am I talking about? On First Take last year, Stephen A. Smith defended LeBron James's nepotism to get his son into the NBA, Bronny James. He said, Stephen A.'s quote was, "Nepotism exists everywhere. Why are we complaining about it here?" Bruce Pearl retweeted, "Preach." A year later, he retires at a time where Auburn can't hire somebody else to make sure his son Stephen gets the job at Auburn. I know, based on reporting, that Stephen Pearl logged minutes at Tennessee that were not deserved. Everybody knows that now. I know, based on reporting, that a couple of coaches, assistant coaches, are upset with Bruce Pearl for one, taking all the buyout money for himself after the show calls happened in 2011 and screwing over his assistants, but two, pushing out a couple of his assistants to make Stephen Pearl his coach in waiting. When you take all that into account, it does look bad the way he's gotten Stephen Pearl the Auburn job. And I'm going to ask you guys that question. So that poll question up, what's Bruce Pearl's biggest legacy? 79% say turning around Auburn and Tennessee, 16% say NCAA issues, 5% say revitalizing SEC basketball, 0% say his political stance. My next question is this. Bruce Pearl retiring at a time to assure his son takes over for him is gross nepotism or a father doing his job. You guys let me know about that. Bruce Pearl retiring at a time to assure his son takes over for him is gross nepotism or a father doing his job. Maybe it's both. But I will say that I think Auburn shouldn't hold themselves to that. Bruce Pearl, they can have Stephen Pearl for a year, but they should hold him to the standard of he better do a good job, or they had better, or they'll fire him. That's how they should hold this. That's how they should handle this, because this type of nepotism is annoying to everybody. Nobody should ever be okay with it. And I said that when LeBron James' son was playing in the NBA last year. And I'm saying that with Stephen Pearl coaching. Nepotism is one thing in ownership positions, because those are that is a money situation business to begin with. But nepotism in this way, I think, is just a really, really bad look and a really big problem for the program. So truth be told, I think that it's actually both. Yes, it is gross nepotism. at the same time, Bruce Pearl is being a father, looking out for the best for his son. And I do believe that in that scenario, we would all probably do the same thing. Probably. I'm not saying certainly, but I think we'd all probably do the same thing. I think this is more on Auburn for allowing it to happen, though. And Auburn should take a strong stance going forward of, we're not going to let you do this. We're gonna have our own players do it. We're gonna have our own head coach, but they're gonna give Stephen Pearl a chance. The poll question up: Bruce Pearl retiring at a time to assure his son takes over for him is gross nepotism. 62% say gross nepotism. 38% say a father doing his job. I have a feeling it is somewhat gross nepotism. This is, look, trying to get your son coaching waiting is one thing, but retiring at this time where you force the school's hand to hire your son is a little bit sketchy. I'll just say that. However, Bruce Pearl's legacy to me is revitalizing SEC basketball at the same time. That was the Vol Report, brought to you by Hometown Realty LLC. That's right, Hometown Realty LLC. Go to ryancoleman.org, Knoxville's best from 2017 to 2022. Download the app, get instant updates, personalized searches, and more. Hometown Realty LLC. It is time now for today's tough question, and it's brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Let's talk a little bit of football. Tennessee football opened as a 10.5-point favorite over the Mississippi State Bulldogs on Sunday. That line moved to 8.5 on Sunday night. From yesterday to today, it has now moved to 7.5. What is the reason behind the line for Tennessee, Mississippi State moving 3 points in Mississippi State's favor in 2 days? That is today's tough question. It is brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones. I'm T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Now, Mississippi State is not like Georgia, because while sports gambling is legal in Tennessee, it's also legal in Mississippi. So a lot of Mississippi State fans might be betting on that, to be fair. The game's in Starkville. It's also true that I think maybe there were some things that are being figured out about Tennessee. I always say this: the line moves for 2 reasons. The line moves for 3 reasons. The line moves for 3 reasons. Actually 2. No, it's actually just 2. I'm taking it back. The line moves for 2 reasons. One reason: Vegas insiders know something we don't. They have some inside information. The other reason is a lot of bets are placed on one side. So the question up for us is, what is the reason for Tennessee's line moving away from them to Mississippi State? And again, that is today's tough question, brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. And the truth of the matter is, here's where I'm landing on this. Why did the line move towards Mississippi State when it moved towards Tennessee when they faced Georgia? I told you, when Tennessee faced Georgia, there's sports gambling is not legal in Georgia. It's legal in Mississippi. Now, the over-under for Tennessee and Mississippi State is still set at 61.5. And the Vols are 3-1 against the spread this season, while Mississippi State is 4-0 against the spread. So money line and everything has changed. So why is the line moving? I got a couple of reasons. And the first is, I think a lot of Tennessee fans are scared to bet on this game. I think a lot of Tennessee fans are scared to bet on this game because they don't know what to expect going on the road into Starkville. This has become a must-win game for Tennessee. Mississippi State is playing with a little bit of house money right now. And that's because they're 4-0. They're at home. You know they're hyped and excited. They got a lot to be thrilled about. And I think all of that together is leading Mississippi State to have the line move in their favor. Now, the other part is I think there's some injury news. I think Mississippi State will be healthier in this one. Brylan Lanier, the safety who played against Northern Illinois, exited the game due to an injury, but he bent backward making a tackle in the second quarter, walked off the field on his own, and returned to the game, though, for the second half. I think Lanier might actually be healthy. I think Tennessee we know how banged up they were. I don't know how they could be more banged up. But you could suggest that maybe you thought Jamal McCoy, Ricky Gibson III will be back. Maybe David Hobbs, Jackson Moy, David Sanders. I don't know. But I think the biggest reason for the line movement is Mississippi State is healthier than initially thought. So that's my poll question. I'm setting it up right now. By the way, the poll question, Bruce Pearl retiring at a time to assure his son takes over for him. 59% say gross nepotism. 41% say a father doing his job. Here's the next question. Why has the Tennessee Mississippi State line moved 3 points away from the Vols? And we'll say more people betting on Bulldogs. We'll go UT more injured than we thought, or MSU healthier than we thought. Those are the only really three things that we could really think. Why has the Tennessee Mississippi State line moved 3 points away from the Vols? More people betting on the Bulldogs. UT more injured than we thought. MSU healthier than we thought. That is today's tough question. Brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, why settle? Banks & Jones led by T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
The poll question up. Why has the Tennessee Mississippi State line moved 3 points away from the Vols? More people betting on the Bulldogs. That's 78%. 22% say UT more injured than we thought. Wow, 0% of you agree with me, which is that MSU is healthier than we thought. That's where I was landing the whole time. But hey, maybe you guys are right. Maybe it's because more people are just betting on Mississippi State. I just have a problem seeing the idea of a line moving away from Tennessee because of people betting, because Tennessee is such a strong betting state. There are a lot of Mississippi State fans in the state of Tennessee, though, and it is legal in Mississippi, but there's more Tennessee fans than Mississippi State fans. Come on, guys. So, I mean, are we really going to sit there and say that that the line would make sense for Tennessee to are we really going to sit there and say that it makes sense, the line does, for Tennessee to move away from them, given how many people not in a Tennessee bet? I don't buy that. Now, it could be I will say this, Memphis borders Mississippi, and a lot of Tiger fans are feeling themselves right now after beating Arkansas, and a lot of Memphis fans hate Tennessee. That's kind of a known thing. So maybe with that in mind, maybe that's why you're seeing the line move. Maybe a lot of Tiger fans are just upset, or not upset, but just, letting their hatred for Tennessee fly and feeling themselves as the best group of 5 team in college football right now, and they're betting Mississippi State on the line. Could be a thing. But I honestly think that a lot of it just has to do with the fact that Mississippi State is genuinely healthier than we thought. I think when you look going forward, the way everything has played out so far, Mississippi State is healthier. They're undefeated. They have a head coach who coached under Josh Heupel, who is experienced with him. And when you take all that into account, Mississippi State is honestly, in my opinion, in great shape to potentially pull off this upset, even though they aren't as good. And I want to get to Diesel 80, who says State doesn't have the same level of talent, so them being healthier is irrelevant. No, it's not, Diesel, because they're at home. They have a coach familiar with Josh Heupel, and if they are healthier, while Tennessee is still banged up, seriously banged up on defense, then you could see an upset here. You could. Adam asking me, were recruiting rankings wrong on Mississippi State? Adam, I never think recruiting rankings are wrong, but there's so much more that goes into it. There's coaching, there's health, there's momentum of the team. I mean, I don't think recruiting rankings are wrong. Upsets happen in college football, and this screams a possible upset for Tennessee. If you pick Tennessee to beat Georgia 2 weeks ago, were recruiting rankings wrong then? No. But you can't put it all on recruiting rankings. A lot of things happen. Were recruiting rankings wrong that when Tennessee lost to Arkansas last year? No. Tennessee just got upset. They overlooked Arkansas. Those type of things happen, and Tennessee needs to be careful this weekend facing Mississippi State. Portions of the program are brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations, your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. When we come back, we're going to discuss Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating an LSU player. What the H? And it's revealed the week of the Ole Miss LSU game. We're going to talk about that. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the hook. Sports.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com.
Hello, ma'am. I'm here to look at that plumbing problem.
Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink.
If this toilet is no good,
You're gonna need a new one ASAP.
you are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications, tell a friend. And it is time for this day in Tennessee football history. On this day, 30 years ago to the day, Tennessee football rebounded from a tough 62-37 loss to Florida to blow out Mississippi State 52-14 in 1995. Peyton Manning had the year before come into the game against Mississippi State after Todd Helton got lost for the season. He came in as a true freshman, and Tennessee ended up losing that game by 3, and the Vols fell to 1-3 at that point. And the next week, Peyton Manning came over, and the Vols, the next became the starter. Tennessee beat Mississippi State beat Washington State 10-9, and then the next year they got revenge on Mississippi State, winning 52-14. Peyton Manning threw for 235 yards. Jay Graham rushed for 126 yards, I believe, in that game, as I'm pulling it up now. And the Vols won in a blowout. That was en route to them going 11-1 and finishing in the top 5 that season. They had 514 yards of total offense, but really the dominance was on the ground for them, as they had 254 yards on the ground. Just torched Mississippi State. Tennessee won that game 52-14. This day in Tennessee sports history, brought to you by Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia, daily updates, facebook.com/sports treasures TN, facebook.com/sports treasures TN.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Lane Kiffin drama in the SEC never dies, does it? The Ole Miss Rebels head coach's daughter is dating an LSU football player. She is dating LSU linebacker Whit Weeks, who has, on the year as the starting weak side linebacker, has 11 total tackles, including a tackle for a loss and half a sack. Last year had 61 total tackles, had 125 total tackles, 61 of which were solo, 10 tackles for a loss, 3.5 sacks, and an interception, along with 3 pass deflections and 2 forced fumbles. Weeks is a notable player for LSU, one of their primary players on defense. He was on the Netflix docuseries Any Given Saturday and was frequently interviewed when the show was discussing LSU, has been on the Tigers since 2023, the captain of the defense pretty much, and has been a huge part of turning the defense around under Brian Kelly. And Lane Kiffin's daughter, Landry Kiffin, decided, amidst this news, to reveal the fact yesterday that she is dating Whit Weeks. There is a picture of them together. I'm pulling it up now on Instagram for you guys. It was revealed yesterday. Lane Kiffin's daughter, Landry Kiffin, dating Whit Weeks. Here they are right there. Look at that. Look at that. Such a cute couple. So happy for them. Yeah, that's right. His daughter is dating Whit Weeks. His daughter is dating an LSU player and makes that relationship public the week before his Ole Miss Rebels team has to go face LSU. What the H? Okay. Who was behind this? And I really have to ask, who was behind this? Was Whit Weeks behind it? Was Landry Kiffin behind it? Or was Lane Kiffin behind it? And I got a conspiracy theory, and General Urs's line of thinking is right where mine is, right here. She's getting the LSU intel for daddy. Was Lane Kiffin behind his daughter making her relationship to LSU public? And if so, why? That's my take. And I'm going to make that the poll question. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and set up the poll question right now. Was Lane Kiffin behind his daughter decision to make her relationship with an LSU player public? And we'll say, yes, he wants to get in their head. Yes, he wants the playbook. Yes, he likes the headlines. Or no. You guys go ahead and vote on that. Was Lane Kiffin behind his daughter's decision to make her relationship with an LSU player public? Yes, he wants to get in their head. Yes, he wants the playbook. yes, he likes the headlines, or no. You guys go ahead and vote on that. I'm not entirely sure. My take is yes, he wants the headlines. Yes, he absolutely wants the headline. Dave loves the headlines of his daughter dating an LSU player the week before Ole Miss is set to face LSU. This is the type of stuff he does. This is the type of stuff he does. And I got to be honest with you. Like I said, I don't think it's like some methodical, like I'm trying to get in LSU's head or I'm trying to get the playbook. No, Lane Kiffin just likes headlines. Lane Kiffin is the guy. He is the Woody Johnson of college football. And for those who don't know, Woody Johnson's the owner of the Jets. And Woody Johnson makes a lot of moves just to win headlines. The most famous one or infamous one was they had Mark Sanchez as the quarterback. He was going to be their starter. They had Rex Ryan as a head coach. And Woody Johnson decided to go sign Tim Tebow as a backup right after the Giants won their second Super Bowl. Never mind the Jets, needing to restructure to try to go win a Super Bowl. Woody Johnson's decision was, no, I'm going to just try to get some more headlines by getting Tim Tebow. Even though I'm not going to make him the starter, I want him to be the backup because I want the headlines. Lane Kiffin likes the headlines. And with that in mind, I'm saying, heck yes, Lane Kiffin was 1,000% behind his daughter's decision to make her relationship with Whit Weeks public. This is the same Lane Kiffin, by the way, that just out of the blue decided to take a picture with his ex-wife last December to lead everybody to believe that they were dating. These are the type of things he does. This is who he is. Lane Kiffin has posted hilarious memes with his daughter, TikTok memes and things like that. Her name is Landry Kiffin. And this is the type of thing he does where he would have her publicize her relationship with an opposing team's player the week before they get set up. Now, again, Lane Kiffin's going to want his running backs to run right at Whit Weeks on top of that. It's also possible that maybe Landry Kiffin is upset with her dad right now. And she wants to get in Lane, and she wants to get in her dad's head and the Ole Miss team's head. That's also possible too. I'm just saying that Lane Kiffin loves these type of headlines. And Diesel Lady says Kiffin is the Jerry Jones of college football. That's kind of a good one. Honestly, although Kiffin right now was good at his job, Jerry Jones hasn't been good at his job in 20 years. Adam says Kiffin's daughter is the product of a divorce at a young age. Little girl is out for revenge on daddy. Maybe this is a revenge move. Who knows? I agree with Tavante. He enjoys the headlines for sure. Yes, I agree. These type of things are, truth be told, Lane Kiffin. It's why you kind of miss him at Tennessee. Not that Josh Heupel's not doing a good job and things like that, but guys, that was, no matter what you say, that 2009-2010 season where Bruce Pearl was the basketball coach, Lane Kiffin was the football coach, and Pat Summitt was the Lady Vols coach. That is one of the best stories out there. Pearl and Kiffin at the same school was just too much entertainment, and it's unfortunate how that all played out because Tennessee would have been the splashiest school in all of college sports with those three together. But yes, no, Lane Kiffin is behind this. I believe 100%. What the H is brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry, a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
The poll question up: was Lane Kiffin behind his daughter's decision to make her relationship with an LSU player public? 47% say yes, he wants to get in their head. 27% say yes, he likes the headlines. 20% say no. 7% say he wants the playbook. Could he get the playbook? Who knows? That would be funny if he got the defensive playbook. I'll say that. Now, overall, Sam Shark, I agree with you. When you say I don't miss Lane Kiffin at all, Heupel is much better. I'm not so sure Heupel's actually a better coach. I think Lane Kiffin actually might be a better offensive coach, to be fair. I think Heupel establishes a better culture with his players and a better rapport. and I got to give him credit for that. But I actually think overall Lane Kiffin is a better coach. I'm just going to be honest. I think he is. I just think the culture part makes Heupel the better coach because he gets his players more motivated to play. He gets them to play together as a team, as a unit. But in terms of in-game coaching decisions and analytics and actual offensive, Lane Kiffin has the same as good of an offensive mind as Heupel. In terms of analytics, in-game coaching, I think Lane Kiffin is better. I do. But the culture thing does matter, which is what pushes Heupel over the edge. I just miss Lane Kiffin for the headlines. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm a reporter. I'm a commentator. Lane Kiffin gives you headlines, okay? It's as good as the headlines that Steve Spurrier used to give back in the day. All right. And yes, exactly, Derek, you're right. Lane made my job easy. That's the point. I am selfish. I like headlines. I like salaciousness. And as someone who covers college sports, I like those things. And I like the coaches that make my job easy. And by the way, I'll just say this from a media perspective. The coaches who do that get a lot of goodwill, okay? And I'll just give you guys a quick perspective on that. Steve Spurrier, when he was at Florida in the 90s, Florida got the benefit of the doubt so many times from the media rankings and in awards, particularly Danny Werfel winning the Heisman after losing to Florida State. They didn't give Peyton Manning the same accord. Why was that? Because Steve Spurrier was such a good soundbite for the media. Steve Spurrier gave you all the quotes you ever wanted, and he was so much fun to cover. He opened practices to everybody that Florida was always going to get the benefit of the doubt from media voters for that. And meanwhile, Tennessee had Philip Fulmer, who was a broken record. Philip Fulmer, not a bad. I'm not criticizing the way he coaches, but he gave the media nothing. Philip Fulmer was, we're going to work like heck to get better. You guys remember all the Fulmer quotes. Did that consistently. And Fulmer, I think because of that, it hurt Tennessee in a lot of rankings and with Peyton Manning winning the Heisman. People in the media didn't love Fulmer as much. He wasn't a quote box, and he took the job away from Johnny Majors, who was a quote box. Had Johnny Majors been coaching Tennessee in 1997, guarantee you guys Peyton Manning wins that Heisman. Guarantee you, because people loved Johnny Majors in the media. They stuck their neck out for Johnny Majors in the media because Johnny Majors was the best quote machine there was. He always gave you something to write. Steve Spurrier always gave you something to write. Florida State got away with everything in the 90s because Bobby Bowden was a quote machine. Unsung says, so basically, if a coach kisses the media's, you know what, they get goodwill. Got it. Unfortunately, yes. I'm not saying I do that. I'm saying a lot of media subconsciously does do that. Now, Unsung, but it's not kissing the media's butt. It's giving them sound bites. Nick Saban got a lot of goodwill from the media too. He didn't kiss the media's butt. He lashed out at him all the time. But what people don't understand is when a coach lashes out at you, if you're in the media, you get the quote you want then. Your job is to get the best sound bites possible to get a story out of it. When Nick Saban lashed out, he was giving you sound bites every time. All right, I'll just tell you guys that up front. So, yeah, people loved him for that. And people let coaches get away with a lot more when they do those things. Mike Leach was the master at that. Mike Leach was a superb master user of the media. I loved him for that. And that's all I'm saying is that Lane Kiffin is the most entertaining coach in the SEC since Steve Spurrier. Far and away, Lane Kiffin is the most entertaining coach in the SEC since Steve Spurrier. And I'm going to actually make that a poll question. You guys can go ahead and vote on it, but which coach provided more entertainment value to SEC football with his antics? Steve Spurrier or Lane Kiffin? You guys go ahead and vote on that. That's a tough one. That's actually a really good poll question. Which coach provided more entertainment value to SEC football with his antics? Steve Spurrier or Lane Kiffin? I think I might go Lane Kiffin, but Steve Spurrier is certainly close. That's by the way, did y'all see the comment from Steve Spurrier the other day as we're talking about this? Steve Spurrier, my brother shared it with me, was talking about Florida's offense or Florida's defense and their offense in the situation down there. And Steve Spurrier, in only Steve Spurrier fashion, basically talked about how good the defense is. And he said the problem is the defense might have to do some of the scoring too. I think it was on another duly noted podcast. We have had Pat Dooley on the show. I'm just going to play this for you real quick because this is Steve Spurrier I can't find it. I'm sorry. I wish I could find it. But it was actually an epic quote from Steve Spurrier saying, unfortunately, our defense is going to have to do this, can't do the scoring, and something like that. I'll pull it up. I might pull it up after the break. But at the end of the day, my vote is probably Steve Spurrier, but Lane Kiffin is right there. Derek says Derek Dooley press conferences take the cake. Yeah, Derek Dooley, though, was like, he gave you good quotes, but he was so smug with his quotes and so wrong at the same time. You kind of got annoyed by him because he acted like he was smarter than you when he wasn't. And it really rubbed people the wrong way. Portions of the program are brought to you by Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards. Hemp House, chatwith2ts.com, Hemp House, chatwith2ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off. When we come back, Tennessee football could be facing a former quarterback later this year. Bank on it. What will that mean? We're going to talk about that. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln Knoxville.
Hello, ma'am. Here to look at that plumbing problem? Oh boy. Yep. You're gonna need a whole new sink. If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP. You are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk.
Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications. DJ Lagway might be done at Florida. Yes, that's right. DJ Lagway might be done at Florida. Florida quarterback DJ Lagway was reportedly in a walking boot this week. And he looks like he won't be playing this or going forward because of his injury. Lagway has had a horrible season so far. Against Florida last weekend, against Miami last weekend, he was 12 of 23 for 61 yards and had -8 rushing yards, and his mobility is key. That followed a game in which he threw 5 interceptions against LSU. He was mediocre against South Florida and actually was pretty below average in total QBR against Long Island University, even though he was highly efficient, believe it or not. DJ Lagway may be done. And Florida is going to have a decision to make. Do they go with DJ Lagway or do they go with one of their backups? And if they go with one of their backups, do they go with Tramble Jones, who played against Long Island University? Or, and this is the big one, do they go with Harrison Bailey? And if that name is familiar to you, it should be. Harrison Bailey was the 5-star commitment at quarterback to Tennessee back in 2020. After the season went off the rails, Tennessee started in the final 2 games of the year. He was the Jim Chaney prospect, the guy Jim Chaney wanted above all else. he was going to be the future of Tennessee under Jeremy Pruitt. Jeremy Pruitt's fired that year. Harrison Bailey sticks it out through 2021 with Josh Heupel. Doesn't win the starting job. Transfers at the end of the year. And I believe goes to UNLV and then Louisville and then transferred to Florida this offseason. Looks like he was collecting a check to be a backup quarterback in Florida. But he may not be collecting a check now because DJ Lagway is now hurt. What does it mean for Tennessee if they have to play Harrison Bailey later in the year? That is a real question. And I'm going to say this much on whether or not Tennessee plays Harrison Bailey. I don't know. But I will say this, and this is Bank on It. And it's brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC, Life Made Better. Tennessee is not going to play DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway will not be playing Tennessee at the end of the season when the Vols in Florida face off. They will either face Trammell Jones or Harrison Bailey. A double bank on it. If they face Harrison Bailey, they will eat his lunch. And I'm not talking about because he played at Tennessee or transferring or anything like that or because he's going to be motivated. I'm talking about the way Harrison Bailey plays would favor Tennessee. Now, Adam wants me to remind how Bailey left Tennessee. We'll talk about that. But first, Bank on It. Brought to you by Commercial Bank member FDIC. Tennessee will not play DJ Lagway when they face Florida. And they will want to play Harrison Bailey over Trammell Jones when that day comes.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
That's Bank on It. Tennessee's going to want to play Harrison Bailey. And I'm actually going to set that up as a poll question. First, the poll question, which coach provided more entertainment value to the SEC football with his antics? 83% of you guys say Steve Spurrier. 17% say Lane Kiffin. The question is, who do you want to see Tennessee face at QB when the Vols visit Florida in November? And we're going to say DJ Lagway. We're going to say Trammell Jones Jr., actually, because he is a junior. Or Harrison Bailey. You guys go ahead and vote on that. While you guys are voting, I'm going to give you a comment Steve Spurrier made about the Billy Napier offense as we talk about it. Because, guys, golden, and I'll give you guys this. Where Steve Spurrier beats Lane Kiffin is entertainment value just as a coach because of all the craziness he does. Steve Spurrier is entertainment value because of what he just says from a football perspective. And here's something he said from a football perspective. Spurrier talking about Billy Napier's offense. This is hilarious. Watch this. This was him just a couple days ago.
I agree. Our defense has played well. It's played very well. I guess the next thing we need to try to learn how to score on defense since the offense isn't scoring much.
How can you not like Steve Spurrier, man? Oh, my gosh. Steve Spurrier at his best. I guess they're going to have to figure out how to score on offense or score on defense since the offense can't score much. Now, the Harrison Bailey story is interesting with Tennessee. Harrison Bailey, I think, was he was a mid-season transfer in 2021. And a lot of people thought he shouldn't have been a mid-season transfer. But what people forget, I've always been defensive of Harrison Bailey for this. Harrison Bailey transferred because Josh Heupel, let's call this out, guys. Let's be fair here. Josh Heupel never gave any of the quarterbacks on that roster that were Jeremy Pruitt holdovers a chance to win the starting job. He always was going to go with Joe Milton. Always. Because Joe Milton was the guy he signed. He inherited a roster that had Hendon Hooker, Kadon Salter, Harrison Bailey, and Brian Maurer. And then he went and he worked with all of them in the spring. And then he went and got Joe Milton after the spring, named Joe Milton the starter. I believe not giving anybody else a fair shake. And I hear some inside stories that he didn't give other players a fair shake too, because many thought Hendon Hooker was better beforehand. So if that was the case, of course Harrison Bailey was going to feel a certain way. Brian Maurer hit the portal before. First of all, he kicked off Kadon Salter for 2 marijuana arrests. That means he never won a Kadon Salter, because marijuana arrest, you're not kicking somebody off the team for that. He did that twofold. He could clear the field a little bit more for his guy, Joe Milton, and he could establish that I'm the disciplining coach. I kicked off a player for marijuana, and I'm so intelligent. Yes. That's what he did with that. And that was his first move. His next move was kind of to nudge Brian Maurer into the portal in August, saying he was never going to get a fair shot. Then he could claim that Joe Milton won the starting job over Hendon Hooker and Harrison Bailey. Harrison Bailey felt he never got a fair shake. Now, Harrison Bailey was never a good fit for Heupel's offense and wasn't going to work out. But I don't blame him, given the way things worked out, for him transferring in October of 2021 that year. I'd have probably done the same thing, guys. I'll just be honest with you. I'd have probably done the same thing. So with that in mind, Harrison Bailey transferring, I don't really blame him for. The poll question is up. Who would you want to see at Tennessee face a quarterback when the Vols visit Florida in November? DJ Lagway, Trammell Jones, Harrison Bailey. 67% say DJ Lagway, 33% say Harrison Bailey. Here's why you want to face Harrison Bailey, and this is the point I was getting to. Florida has had quarterbacks historically have the game of their life against Tennessee. Now, I'm not counting the Spurrier years, even the Ron Zook years when the Rex Grossmans and the Danny Warfels were there. And the reason I'm not counting those years is because, truth be told, Florida was just better. But during the years when the streak happened, they would have random quarterbacks step up and ball out. Treon Harris scores 10 points in the fourth quarter. Will Greer, Jeff Driscoll, Felipe Franks. What do they all have in common? They're dual threat quarterbacks. Harrison Bailey is a pure drop back passer. And as Tennessee fans remember watching him in 2020, he has the worst pocket presence of any drop back passer you could ever have. They also bring pressure. The Vols bring a lot of pressure. When you take those two things into account, I firmly believe that Tennessee would give Harrison Bailey hell if he started against them later in the year. And because of that, I genuinely think Tennessee wants to face Harrison Bailey. On top of that, Josh Heupel is going to know his tendencies because Josh Heupel coached against him. So with that in mind, yes, Harrison Bailey could give Florida something about Josh Heupel's playbook. It's a different playbook than the one he had in 2021. So with all of that, I think Tennessee wants to face Harrison Bailey when the two face off in November. Because the scariest thing for Tennessee is if Trammell Jones becomes the starter, who is a dual threat quarterback, and Tennessee's not fully prepared for him, and you don't want to see that happen. So right now, I think that Tennessee wants to face Harrison Bailey above anybody else. Portions of the program are brought to you by HoundDogs of Knoxville. Champions look good in orange. hdknoxville.com. hdknoxville.com. It is time for the stat of the day, and the stat of the day is this: Josh Heupel just reached the 40-win mark last weekend with beating UAB at Tennessee. The fourth fastest coach to reach 40 wins, behind General Nealon, Robert Nealon, Bill Battle, and Philip Fulmer. Bill Battle and Philip Fulmer and General Nealon all took over teams that had winning records the year before. Josh Heupel took over a 3-7 team that lost half its roster. That is the most impressive of all the four fastest coaches to get to 40 wins by far. Stat of the day is brought to you by Joe Neubert Collision Center. For nearly 50 years, Neubert Collision Center has been East Tennessee's best choice for quality repair work and fantastic customer service. JoeNeubertCollision.com, JoeNeubertCollision.com. Also, portions of the program are brought to you by Peak IV Hydration in South Knoxville and Sevierville. Live your life to the fullest. Hydrate, rejuvenate, and elevate your health with Peak IV Hydration. PeakIVHydration.com. Link is in the chat. All right, when we come back, it's our SEC quarterback power rankings and football IQ, where we look at the dumbest coaches of the week. Stick with us. 2 minutes off the hook. Sports.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 Volume 4 dealer.
Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Neubert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Neubert Collision Center.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at nfc1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East Tennessee locations.
Welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. Hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications. Portions of the program are brought to you by Quality Tire Pros, serving Chattanooga community since 1957. All major brands of tires, full service automotive brake alignments, oil changes, and more. QualityTirePros.com. Walk in and say, hey, Mo, Off the Hook Sports sent you. QualityTirePros.com. It is time for Hot or Cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. 50 years in East Tennessee, integrity matters. And our Hot or Cold today will be our SEC quarterback power rankings. That's right. Our SEC quarterback power rankings are out, and we got a lot of QB power rankings to get to. Things have really shifted in the last week because now the quarterback play is looking tougher and tougher. And I'm just going to say this. This is looking like the best year of quarterback play in SEC history because everybody but like the bottom 3 I'm naming, guys, looks like an NFL draft pick. These guys are balling out. I have so much respect for the quarterback play right now going on in college football. And there's just no way around it. SEC football right now, with the way the quarterback play is going, is just insane. And there is no way around it. So it's time for our SEC quarterback power rankings. And Hot or Cold will be this. Do I think they'll finish better or worse than where I have them right now? And that's going to be Hot or Cold. And we're just going to get rolling. Let's get going right off the bat. Hot or Cold with our SEC quarterback power rankings. Last, DJ Lagway, number 16, the worst quarterback in the SEC, was better this past week than he was the week before, and that still isn't saying much because he was horrible this past weekend, and now he looks like he won't play. So I am super cold on DJ Lagway being better than the 16th best quarterback in the SEC at this point because DJ Lagway is a total disaster. I'm cold on him. 15th, hot take, but Lenore Sellers. Now, Lenore Sellers did have over 300 yards passing over the weekend. He had over 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns at 68.9 total QBR, 10.8 yards per attempt. That should seem great, right? Wrong. Lenore Sellers had negative 28 rushing yards, and he was sacked 5 times. Mobile, healthy Lenore Sellers would have not gotten sacked during those times. And if he's getting sacked, you take away a huge part of his game. Because of that, he's number 15 right now. But I'm hot on him. I think Lenore Sellers will finish stronger before the year ends. Number 14, Cutter Boley at Kentucky. Didn't play this past weekend. They had a bye, but he looked very good in their first game against Eastern Michigan, 12-21, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm cold on him. So the wheels are going to come off Cutter Boley soon enough. So Cutter Boley, I am cold on. All right. Arch Manning is number 12. Now, Arch Manning finally got a moment against Sam Houston last week. I was doing a lot of talking for them facing Sam Houston, but it seems like Arch Manning is playing good every other week. He was 18 of 21 for 309 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. I think Arch Manning will still be fine. He's number 11. He's number 12 right now because you got to do better than Sam Houston. But at the end of the day, I'm hot on him being better than he is right now. I think Arch Manning is going to work out long term, so I wouldn't worry about him. He's still developing. Garrett Nussmeier is number 11. Just like Arch Manning, was struggling early, raising some red flags, and looked elite over the weekend, though, facing a Division II school, Southeast Louisiana. 25 31, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Arch Manning was better, but Garrett Nussmeier's proven himself more against top competition because he beat Clemson, even though Clemson does look overrated to this point. Blake Shapen at Mississippi State. And by the way, I'm hot on Garrett Nussmeier also being better than number 11 when the season ends. Blake Shapen at Mississippi State is number 10. Shapen, 12 of 20, 160 yards, 1 touchdown, 11 carries for 51 yards. Look, I've told you guys, I thought about Mississippi State being a dangerous team at the beginning of the year, but I think Blake Shapen is going to finish worse than number 10 before the season comes to an end because there's just too many other quarterbacks that are good in this league. So I think Blake Shapen is going to fall. Number 9, Ty Simpson at Alabama, who did not play last week, but him torching the Wisconsin secondary doesn't look as good now because Wisconsin looks like a bad team, but I'm still hot on Ty Simpson finishing better than number 9. I still am going down with the ship and believing in Kalen DeBoer's offense. Number 8, Taylon Green at Arkansas. Now, Taylon Green is one of the most productive players at Arkansas right now, but the problem with Taylon Green is when it's time for him to make the play, he is nowhere to be found. And because of that, I have him at number 8. And I'm actually cold on Taylon Green. I think as the wheels come off Arkansas, he's going to be significantly worse than his stats have shown over the past few weeks. And it's going to collapse the program. Number 7, Bo Pribula, Missouri. Pribula against Missouri looked a little pedestrian finally. 16 to 27 for 171 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but 9 carries for 72 yards. And on top of that, I'm cold on Bo Pribula, though. I think he's going to eventually fall down the pack. So that's where I am on Bo Pribula. Number 7. Okay, bear with me. Joey Aguilar. It's not a knock on him. It's what quarterbacks ahead of him have done. But he's 15 to 22 against UAB for 218 yards. Probably could have been better. Missed a couple of throws. The interception was not his fault. But at the same time, everybody in the SEC at this level is elite among the quarterbacks right now. I got Joey Aguilar at number 7, but I'm hot on him. He will be better than number 7 in my final power rankings. Number 6 is Jackson Arnold. Jackson Arnold was 21 to 32 for 221 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, but did have negative 11 yards rushing. I could get with putting Joey Aguilar ahead of Jackson Arnold. I just think Jackson Arnold's loss was a little bit more impressive and is somewhat more efficient, but I'm cold on Jackson Arnold. I think he'll drop and Joey Aguilar will finish the year better than him. Number 5 is Diego Pavia. Homeboy dropped 70 on Georgia State. I know it's Georgia State, but dropping 70 speaks for something. So Diego Pavia right now at Vanderbilt's number 5. I'm cold on him staying at number 5. He's going to fall behind the pack too once SEC play really kicks in. Hot or Cold is brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. City Heat and Air.com.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Our top 4 quarterbacks right now in the SEC. Number 4 on this list, and this is probably not going to make a lot of people happy because he hasn't proven himself too much, but Trinidad Chambliss. He does have a Power 5 win in what was a shootout and did beat a very good Power 5 school in Tulane over the weekend. That was Tulane's first loss, 45 to 10. Trinidad Chambliss was 17 to 27 for 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, ran for another 112 yards. So had over 400 yards. The question really is, why isn't Trinidad Chambliss higher on this list? Trinidad Chambliss has started 2 games, and in those 2 games, he's thrown for 670 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, while rushing for another 174 yards. In 2 games, by the way, he has 844 yards of total offense. He's averaging 422 yards a game of total offense and has 6 total touchdowns, so 3 touchdowns of total. So he's averaging 422 yards and 3 total touchdowns per game with no turnovers. Trinidad Chambliss actually could be higher. You can make a case for him number 1. That is incredible because right now at number 3, and by the way, I'm still cold on that long term, though. I think Trinidad Chambliss will wake up to reality soon enough. Number 3, John Mateer, Oklahoma. I'm hot on him. I'm hot on him now. I've seen enough. John Mateer is very efficient. He was 24-36, 271 yards and a touchdown while rushing for 29 yards and a touchdown. He's a highly efficient passer. This Washington State offense is working for Oklahoma and Brent Venables. I have to reassess what I've seen. I'm jumping on the John Mateer train. There's just no way around it. John Mateer has been a very, very, very good quarterback. And with that in mind, I got to have John Mateer at number 3. Because also, while his actual total QBR is a lot lower than a lot of the others, he has faced the toughest competition through 4 games to this point. Oklahoma is the number 1 team in the nation right now based on resume. Number 2, Marcel Reed had a bye this past weekend, completing not barely 50% of his passes, less than 50% of his passes at Notre Dame, but got the key win against Notre Dame, threw for a lot of yards, ran for a lot of yards. Yards per attempt matters to me. Marcel Reed gains a lot of offense, so he's number 2 right now, Marcel Reed. I'm cold on him. He won't stay number 2, though. And number 1, I'm cold on this guy, too, Gunnar Stockton. Georgia had a bye, but that win at Tennessee speaks volume still to me. And Gunnar Stockton, with that win, still has to stay number 1. I do think Gunnar Stockton, though, I'm cold on that. I do think he will wake up to reality. So that is your list of the SEC quarterback power rankings. Hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. CityHeatandAir.com. Portions of the program brought to you by the UPS Store, Hardin Valley, helping individuals and small businesses. Wide range of products and services, locally owned and operated. 10629 Hardin Valley Road. We close out our show with a little football IQ. Let's get rolling, and it's 4 Downs, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. 4 Downs, football IQ. What were the dumbest head coaching decisions in college football this past weekend? And we start 4 Downs with, again, here's my rule with the dumbest head coaching decisions, guys. They have to be basically basic decisions that coach just screwed up on that cost their team the game because they lost by 1 possession. And there were quite a few of them across the board this week, and we're going to get rolling. First off, without Dave here, I'm still going to do the Cooper Mays impression without the soundboard. So Cooper Mays here. Like and subscribe. Well, thank you, Coop. I really, really, really appreciate that. Well, before we do a first down, we're going to do a warm-up play because this isn't the dumbest play, but it's one that really stood out to me. So the 5th person on our football IQ list for the weekend is Dave Aranda and UAB. Because Baylor. Dave Aranda at Baylor. They lost to Arizona State 27-24 over the weekend, despite being in that game the whole time. And had they not committed 3 turnovers, they win that game. What cost them, though? It was actually in the second quarter. They went for it on 4th and 2 at the Arizona State 17-yard line. Now, I actually don't mind them going for it on 4th and 2, believe it or not. I'm a fan of that. I am... 4th and 2, I know now field goal versus touchdown going forward is a little bit trickier. Punting versus going forward is totally obvious to me, but I don't mind being aggressive. My problem is they were running the ball well with Bryson Washington. What brought up the 4th and 2? A 2-yard run by Bryson Washington, a 2-yard pass to Bryson Washington, and a 4-yard run by Bryson Washington. Run it again. Instead, he decides to pass it on 4th down. Screw up on that. They don't get it and they pass it despite the fact that Bryson Washington had 17 carries for 111 yards in the game and was averaging over 6 yards a carry for the whole game, pretty much. That is one of the worst ones. I can't get past that. That was a huge problem. Now we go into the full 4 Downs. Again, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. And we start with Coop here. First down. Thank you, Coop. All right. Sticking with old Big 12 football here, guys. Who doesn't love some good Big 12 football? Mike Gundy, who is done at Oklahoma State, like Dabo Swinney is probably, after Oklahoma State lost to Tulsa at home, 19-12. Mike Gundy gets the football IQ nod because of some decisions he made in the game on play calling. And most of the football IQ this week are play calling. First, y'all know how I feel about punting. You don't punt. And you definitely don't punt when you're down 2 scores. So with 6:22 to go in the second quarter, when you're down 13-3 to Tulsa at home and it's 4th and 2, even if it's at your own 33-yard line, you punt, you go for it. You go for it. Mike Gundy punted it. That was stupid. Tulsa got a field goal out of it. Dumb mistake. Later in the game, though, and this is the one that I think is inexcusable. By the fourth quarter, it was clear that Oklahoma State was, for all their flaws, running the ball well and controlling the line of scrimmage. Rodney Fields had 17 carries for 113 yards, 6.5 yards a carry. They were running the ball well. They are down 19-12. Well, despite running the ball well, Mike Gundy decides, with 2:51 left in the fourth, plenty of time, to throw it 3 or 4 times, and the only other time he calls a run play with his quarterback, doesn't give the ball to Rodney Fields at all, and Oklahoma State gets a turnover on downs. I can't forgive that. Run the football with your running back, who is averaging over 6.5 yards a carry. I hate when schools do this. It angers me to no end. I cannot forgive it, and with that, Mike Gundy, I have to say, deserves all the scorn he's getting. That is inexcusable. But things only get worse. So, Cooper Mays here. Second down. Well, thank you, Coop. Second down is Matt Rule in Michigan. Matt Rule cost me some money over the weekend because Michigan beat Nebraska 30-27. And what did the game come down to? The game came down to Matt Rule stupidly burning timeouts. On Michigan's field goal drive to go up by 2 scores, with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, Matt Rule called a timeout to give his defense a rest. I get your defense needs a rest, but it's a 2-score game no matter what at this point, because he calls the timeout, by the way. I want to point this out. He calls the timeout with Michigan in field goal range at the Nebraska 39, or almost in field goal range. And no, I'm sorry, at the Nebraska 20. They're in field goal range. They're going to go up by 2 scores. You need to save those timeouts more than you need to save the points. That was so stupid in Matt Rule. He burns that timeout. Because he burns that timeout, by the way, let me be very clear. Because he burns that timeout, after Nebraska scores, to cut it to a 1-score game, they can't stop the clock after the onside kick because they only have 1 timeout left. That's Matt Rule burning timeouts. He gets my Les Miles Clock Mismanagement Award of the week because I hate coaches who burn their timeouts, and that was just stupid. Stupid. But it gets worse. Tennessee Center Cooper Mays here. Third down. Thank you, Coop. Hugh Freeze's misuse of timeouts throughout the game against Oklahoma. There's a famous play where Hugh Freeze is screaming at the refs in the first half because Oklahoma scored a touchdown on a play where he was trying to call a timeout. Yet when you see the signal, Hugh Freeze never called the timeout. Nobody ever called the timeout. Nobody. He was screaming about a timeout not being called for them, saying we tried to. He never put up the timeout sign. You know, if you want to call the timeout, you kind of have to call the timeout, Hugh Freeze. So Hugh Freeze gets the I don't know what to do with my hands award. Okay, but then in the second half, not fully his fault, but Hugh Freeze burned 2 timeouts that he shouldn't have burned. One was a player injury, and one was a 4th and 11 to avoid a delay of game. That was a bad one. And because of that, Auburn didn't have a chance at the end. Oklahoma was able to run out the clock. 4 Downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford Lincoln, your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer.
Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 2 years complimentary maintenance.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
All SEC Center Cooper Mays here. 4th down. And the dumbest coach of the weekend goes to Sam Pittman. Now, I don't fault Sam Pittman for running for that fumble at the end of the game against Memphis. For those who don't know, Arkansas was trailing 32-31 late. They were inside the Memphis 10-yard line. They had like 1 yard to get a first down, and if they got that first down, they could run the clock down and kick a game-winning field goal. Sam Pittman called a running play. Their running back fumbled the ball. Memphis got it, was able to run out the clock. That is just the worst of luck possible. However, what hacks me off is what got Arkansas to that point for Sam Pittman. And part of this is on Bobby Petrino. And Bobby Petrino was clearly coaching to try to get another head coaching job, but Sam Pittman let him get away with it, so the blame's on him. Arkansas built a 28-10 lead. A 28-10 lead. Okay. When they built that 28-10 lead, 34 of those 66 plays, 34 of the 66 plays, when they built a 28-10 lead, 15 of their 27 plays were designed runs. 12 were design passes. Balance, right? 12 were design passes, 15 were design runs, 44.4% were design passes. That's when they built the 28%, the 28-10 lead. After the 28-10 lead, 22 of 39 plays were design passes, 56.4%. So they go from running the ball the majority of the time to get the 28-10 lead to throwing the ball the majority of the time after they got the 28-10 lead. Even dumber. Between their 28-10 lead and when Memphis came back and took the 32-31 lead, Arkansas threw the ball 63.3% of the time. They went from calling run passing plays 44.4% of the time en route to building a 28-10 lead to then calling pass plays after you built the big lead to make it 63.3% of the time until you fall behind. What in the world were they thinking? Right after they built the 20-10 lead, by the way, at one point they got the ball back up 28-10. They threw it 3 times, 3 incomplete passes, and had to punt it. They let Memphis back in that game. Run the ball when you have the lead. I hate coaches that do that. I hate when coaches do that. That's what the Falcons did. That cost them against the Patriots. Sam Pittman wins my Dumb Coach Award of the Week for that. He is number 1 on the football IQ list. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones are by T. Scott Jones, BanksandJones.com. We broadcast live every weekday at 10 a.m. Eastern from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Ted Russell Ford Lincoln is your home for the finest vehicles in Knoxville. New and used, East Tennessee's largest Ford and Lincoln volume dealer. Thank you guys all for tuning in today. I will be back on tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern with Caleb Calhoun. Again, please hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell, turn on your notifications, tell a